Hello, I'm Tony Svekar, Research Leader for the Range and Meadow Forage Management Research Unit in Burns, Oregon. And this video you're going to be looking at will be about the second grade classes from the Burns Hines School District coming out to visit our research center for an entire morning. And we have a long history of interacting with our local school districts, and this is just one example of what we do with the districts. There are a number of reasons for wanting to host an event like this. First off, we get a chance to influence second graders, in this case, at a time when we might actually be able to affect their career path. And all indications are that we're going to have a shortage of scientists and engineers into the future, and so it would be nice if we could get people interested in science and agriculture. The second major reason that we like hosting events like this is we get not just the kids, but the teachers and parents as well. And the parents particularly are very positive about the things we do when we host these trips. We've gotten very positive feedback. So what we're going to do is kind of show you the steps that we take in orchestrating a field trip of this sort. And at first it seems like a pretty intimidating sort of a prospect. But if you take the event and break it into pieces, it's really not too overwhelming for any one staff person. Now, the one thing I'll warn you about as scientists, you can't just dust off a presentation from a professional society last year and modify it for this kind of a venue. You really need to start from scratch and figure out a way to capture the attention of these 7-year-olds and motivate them. And we'll give you some examples of how you might do that, but one of the things I want to stress is that hands-on experience is absolutely critical. So we've been doing this for more than a decade, and we still have a lot of people. The bulk of the staff participates in some way. So, you know, I can say that people really feel good about what they're doing. So we may be happy to see the kids get on the bus and go back to school at the end of the morning, but we still feel really good about the things we've done. And if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't have people participating year after year after year. So with that, let's take a look at the steps that we go through to put on an event like this.
Inside a cow. It feels like these hot aprons inside a cow. Cows have 4 stomachs. How to use a GPS? You try to find ocean, soil and all that kind of different stuff. Soil is made out of different kinds of nutrients.
It's once in a lifetime experience for those kids. They're only second graders once, so it's worth all the time and effort that it takes to do the second grade field trip.
In planning an outreach event of this nature, taking that first step is often the most difficult part. Start by including and soliciting the help of as many people as possible. It's a fairly big event, but including administrative staff, technicians, and scientists can make for lighter work for each individual. Choose a coordinator to make sure things are organized well and in place for the big day.
Well, first I contact everyone at the station, like at a staff meeting, let them know that it's coming up and to see when a good time is for them and if they're willing to do it again. And then I contact Peggy Armstrong, which she is a second grade teacher, and I contact her via email to see if she's able to do it this year.
Find an individual at the school that you can work with to plan the event. There are a number of things that individual can do to facilitate it. It's a good idea to contact them several months prior to the time you'd like to have your event.
It's important to find out how many kids there are in each classroom, so that way we can figure out how many stations would be good. Usually there's about 60 kids, so if we have 6 stations, that's 10 kids per station. So that makes it feasible for each station to not have too many kids. If we only have 3 stations or 5 stations, it leaves a lot of kids at each station, and then they don't really get the benefit, because I think then there's more people at each station then, and they don't seem to pay attention if there's probably more in a group.
We arrange for the buses and transportation here. That's very minimal effort here. And then we do a little bit of organization once the field station gets back to us with this centers that they have for the kids. We group the kids, we make sure that each group has a chaperone with them, and that's about all we do.
What time we start and what time we end is important to let them know too. We always start the field trip about 9, and then by the time the stations are about 20 minutes at each station, we usually end about 11:30, and then they get to have lunch here. If the weather's nice, we do it outside on the lawn, and we usually just supply like a picnic table and some garbage cans, so that way they can throw away their sack lunch, and the kids just sit on the ground there and eat lunch. And then this past year it was raining, so we have a big hay shed at the station, and they were able to just be in the hay shed there, and it was undercover so they didn't get all wet, and they just eat their lunch outside.
It's also helpful in several ways to have parent volunteers to accompany each group from station to station at the field trip.
It's critical to have more than just yourself in a lab like this.
We notify the parents with our standard school forms, but at the same time then we also ask for parents to volunteer as chaperones, and we never have any trouble getting parents. By now they've heard about it and they are more than willing to come.